Josh Harris is now the owner of the Washington Commanders. For the first time, Daniel Snyder is not since 1999 the owner of the Washington. We'll just say franchise at this point because he was a bunch of other names. But yeah, he's not
Yeah.
the owner anymore. And Josh Harris and oddly enough, Magic Johnson, who owns a share in this new Washington Commanders ownership group, has recently said that the name change might be on the table. I don't know if that means bringing back the Redskins. I don't know what that means. But do you think they're gonna? Do you think the Redskins could come back in this total rebound that the Washington Commanders are doing, Jake?
I think it could. I don't. People are obviously not going to be happy about it. That's the whole reason the Washington Redskins left in the first place. And we also had that, problem with Nike that they were going to pull, Washington apparel if they didn't change their name. And I think that's when we obviously talked about earlier. I think that's when Dan Snyder folded. But obviously, seeing as he's not the owner anymore, will Josh Harris fold or will he actually make the change back to the Redskins? Because I think a lot of people like the Washington Redskins, but I think that it was a all Dan Snyder thing.
Yeah, I think they could. I definitely could see them. I don't think the Redskins are coming back. I don't, and I'll explain that in a second. I could see them maybe changing the name, but I think they have much bigger priorities. A lot of I've talked to, or at least in forums I've read and stuff I've read, with Washington football fans, Washington Commanders fans. A lot of them left the team, and it has nothing to do with the name. It has to do with the ownership and that they didn't care about the team and they
Yeah,
didn't care to put a productive product on the field. Washington was winning Super Bowls all the time at RFK Stadium, and now at FedEx Field, they're a joke. And so there's a lot of problems that they got to focus on. They got to focus on FedEx Field. That place is empty. A lot of people who go there say it's a terrible stadium. And it's one of the biggest capacity stadiums in the NFL, too. So when it's empty, it's really empty. You see it. And so they got to focus on the stadium. They got to focus on the team. The team has been a dump. I mean, you've had Taylor Heineke, who's been fun in some of the past couple of years, but the team has really, outside of that and RG3 in the last 20 or so years, what have they really produced? Not much. And it's just the culture. They got to win back fans. They got to fix the stadium. The name matters, but to me, that's low on the totem pole of stuff they got to focus on. They have a lot bigger
yeah.
priorities, but I could see it. I don't think Redskins is coming back, but I could see them switching from Commanders because that whole thing was a little awkward and rushed. I will say that. But should they? So we
Going
already
back to
think,
the Washington football team.
yeah, that would be a disaster. But Jake, my question then is, we already said what we think will happen, but should they? Should they go back to the Redskins? What do you think?
Should they? This is a tough question. I'm actually going to throw back to you and let you go first.
Okay, sounds good. I think no, I don't. And that might be controversial, but there's no so the whole thing with the Redskins argument was, and there's some other teams. I said the Guardians and Cleveland, they should change back. That makes no sense. But the whole thing
Yeah.
was always precedent, right? So with the Washington Redskins, the argument I always heard, my grandpa made this argument a lot, big football fan from the past. His argument was always, well, the Redskins have been the team name since the 30s. It's precedent. You can't change the name. They've been the team for 80, 90 years, right? Well, that's not true anymore. They haven't been the Redskins in 3 seasons. So there's no real precedent, excuse me, to bring it back anymore because they've been the football team, which of course they should Jake jokes with. That's never coming back. And then, or maybe they
I
will.
hope not. I hope
Maybe that'd
not.
be a funny joke.
I hope they
And
don't
then
come back.
but then you got the Commanders too, which is it's iffy. I mean, you got the W Washington. That's not super special, right? But it's that's the new precedent now. So I could see them changing something else. I'd be okay with them changing something else. But should they bring back the Redskins? No, that just alienate too much people, and now the precedent's gone. So I would say no. What about you, Jake?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with Evan here. I'm gonna say no, they should not. Could they though? We already talked about it earlier in the show. They could. They shouldn't. I think that it would upset a lot of people, and I think that's the last thing Washington needs. right now.
But okay, I'll disagree with that reasoning though, just really quick. Just because
Okay.
you can't be afraid to take the unpopular opinion. So if it upsets people, that shows you're weak, in my opinion. If you won't make a change you feel you need because it's going to
And
upset people.
maybe
But
Nike has the same, the same rule that they did when Dan Snyder changed the team. If they went back to the Redskins, they would stop selling Redskins stuff. So that
but
could also be a reason they shouldn't.
so all I'm saying is, to me, that sounds a little. My point is that with this is with all the team names, I think it's dumb. I think the Guardians is a stupid name. I think other team names, like they try to get the Braves to get rid of the chop. That's all dumb, right? That's
Yeah,
history, and we're getting worried because they're going to keep doing that if we keep allowing them to do that. The Redskins was the
yeah,
only one I was half and half on because I know the tribes didn't completely appreciate that. I understood, so I was always half and half. But once they've changed the name, to me on that one, it's kind of over, and I think we should let it stay over.